Okay. Okay. A very good morning to all. This is our session for 301 strategic management, and we were learning about the basic understandings related to strategic management. So, let us now go into detail. We have completed up to, I think, KRA, then KPIs, and all. Now, we are going to move further towards the analyzing industry environment. So, see, whenever we are, just a second, I'll see how many people are there. Okay. 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 See, whenever any organization is working, it has a certain surrounding around it, right? The surrounding comprises of a number of peoples, a number of customers, a number of competitors. Then, whatever the scenario going on in the community, that is also a part of your industry, and whatever the latest things going on around the organization, which can have a certain kind of impact on it, will all be considered under the environment of the industry, because it is going to impact the organization in some or the other way, and hence it is very necessary that we all should know what is going on in our industrial environment, so that we can take accordingly the appropriate action so as to resolve any upcoming issues, if any, or else we can work over it to uh, either resolve that issue or work as a precautionary measure, so that we won't be in that fuzz of getting a part of any kind of chaos that has been created. So for that purpose, industry analysis is one of the very important factor for any organization to study for. Okay, so industry analysis is a part wherein every organization does the analysis of its environment, so as to understand that what is going on, what is the situation, what is the current scenario outside there, which can have a certain level of impact in their on their organization. Okay, so let us see more detail about it. An analysis of the external environment includes an industry analysis and an examination of key external stakeholders and the broad environment. Okay, so what is this environment? It is a kind of external environment which is been carried out by the organization, and it examines the key external stakeholders. What are the external stakeholders? Every single people or every single person which has in some or the other way, or directly or indirectly, impact on the organization, can be considered as its stakeholder. So these people who are outside the organization and can impact or has an impact on the organization are a part of external stakeholders. Okay, so, studying these external stakeholders and the broad environment, geographically, physically, competitively, so that is all a part of industry analysis. Okay, now let us see what is industry analysis and how it should be done. So, analysis should begin with a industry. And analyze sorry environmental analysis should begin with industry analysis. Means whenever you are starting to identify what is going on in your surrounding or your environment, for that analysis purpose you should start with the industry wherein you exist for. Okay, for example, if a product is FMCG, say consider a product like instant noodles, like Maggie. So for that industry, it is a fast moving consumer good, right? FMCG product. So you should first start the analyzing, you should first start analyzing the FMCG industry, means fast moving consumer good वाला जो industry है, you have to first start studying that. So your study begins with the industry wherein you exist. Okay, and then slow by slow, step by step, you have to move towards the other endpoints of that analysis. So the first step in industry analysis is to provide a basic description of the industry and competitive forces that dominate it. So, what do you have to do while studying industry? First, you have to identify or understand, right? First, you have to identify or understand that what are the various forces that are dominating you, right? So, see, This is one of the dominating force in the industry, maybe, sorry, in the environment, maybe the government. You being a part of a particular country, then you have to follow the rules and the norms and the regulations of the government which exist in that country, right? For example, our country. So government, if it lays any kind of rule, you have to obey that, you can't go against it. So it is a kind of domination that government does on this organization by making them follow the rules and regulations that are insisted by the government. So it is a kind of dominating force, right? Then you also have to study the industry and the competitive forces. So competitive forces are nothing but the other things that can give an advantage for other organization in competition if they have certain powers under them, right? For example, any manufacturing industry which is having a very low cost of production of per product, right? So that is one kind of a competitive force that they have with them, because they can produce the products in a very cheaper price. So that is a, means this cheap cost production for per unit is a kind of competitive advantage that the organization possesses. So in this way, first you have to understand what is industry, and means the industrial environment, what are the forces that are going to impact that, and so on. Okay, now let us see there are many other models which are there for understanding the environment, or for doing the industrial analysis, or for doing the environmental analysis. Potter's five force model also is a part of the same. So let us see it in detail. Make sure that this part is of keen importance from your syllabus point of view, as it is having a quite good weightage and many questions can be popped out of it. So you should thoroughly study this and try to understand that what does it actually tells you about, and how means what is its actual role. Okay, so let us see the Potter's five force model. Okay, obviously the name is Potter's because this model was prepared by Potter, so it is named after him. Now let us see what are these five forces and how the model works on. Till then, are you all with me? Yes, students. Hello. Yes, I hope all are quite attentive and listening to what I'm saying, right? Yes, yeah, no issues. Fine with that, but at least be attentive. Durga Naik, Neha Jadhav, Saili, Vishnu. Yeah, you all are listening, or I'm just going on saying something and you're just. Yeah, please pay attention and respond to the questions if possible from your side, because currently, if you are working, you can't answer, but if it's not the case, then you should reply, right? Okay, now let us study the Potter's five force model. So let move jumping to the first point, that is competition. A key concept in Potter's five force model is the view that some industries are more attractive and others are less attractive. Therefore, the ability to identify industry attractiveness is important, right? So the first and very common, or you can say the very simple assumption of this Potter's five force model is what, that some industry. मला एक फक्त सांगा, तुम्हाला इंडस्ट्री आणि ह्याच्यातला फरक कळतो ना? व्हॉट डू यू मीन बाय इंडस्ट्री? येस. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, कपडे मॅन्युफॅक्चर करणारी कंपनी आहे. सो ती झाली क्लॉथ इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये कन्सिडर होणार. गुड्स सॉरी, फॉर एक्झाम्पल कॉस्मॅटिक, तर मग ते कॉस्मॅटिक वालं वेगळं इंडस्ट्री येणार, राईट? जर फास्ट मुव्हिंग कन्झ्युमर गुड्स मॅन्युफॅक्चर करते तर ती FMCG इंडस्ट्री येणार. सो इंडस्ट्री व्हेरीज. ठीक आहे, एक प्रॉडक्ट लाईन असेल आणि दोन ऑर्गनायझेशन सेम प्रॉडक्ट मॅन्युफॅक्चर करतात. कन्सिडर Britannia and you can say Parley. Both are manufacturing biscuits, so they belong to the same industry. Which is the industry? The fast moving consumer good industry, means ready to eat products are been manufactured there. So it is a kind of fast moving consumer goods industry. So it belongs to FMCG industry. So the companies manufacturing the same goods are considered under one industry. ठीक आहे. तर मग अशा वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या खूप साऱ्या इंडस्ट्रीज आहेत ज्या एक्झिस्ट करतात. कॅन यू नेम एनी? येस, कुठल्या कुठल्या इंडस्ट्रीज आहेत? ऑटोमोबाईल इंडस्ट्री, देन येस अदर्स. दुर्गा? इलेक्ट्रॉनिक रिलेटेड, ओके. हे सगळं इलेक्ट्रिसिटीच्या अंडरच आलं ना. टेक्सटाईल इंडस्ट्री, ऑटोमोबाईल इंडस्ट्री, राईट. नंतर कॉस्मॅटिक्सचं इंडस्ट्री आहे, फार्मास्युटिकल इंडस्ट्री आहे, राईट. कळतंय का सगळ्यांना इंडस्ट्री म्हणजे काय हे कळलंय का व्यवस्थित? येस, रिस्पॉन्ड पीपल, कळतंय का? हॅलो. इफ नॉट आय एक्सप्लेन इट अगेन. Okay. So there are various industries. So according to this Potter's five force model, they say that few industries are less attractive and few industries are very much of attractive. Right? जसं की आता एखादा खूप चालणारी गोष्ट आहे तर आपण त्याला कशामध्ये कन्सिडर करणार आहेत? अट्रॅक्टिव्हनेस, राईट. आणि एखादं कम्पेअर केलं दुसरं कुठलं तरी तर टेक दिस टेक्सटाईल इंडस्ट्री अँड यू कॅन से दिस मोबाईल, हँडसेट, ऑल दिस गॅजेट्स, राईट. तर ह्या दोन इंडस्ट्रीज जर तुम्ही कम्पेअर केल्या तर टेक्सटाईल इंडस्ट्रीला इतका डिमांड नाही आहे जितका ह्या गॅजेट्स आणि हे आपले जे इन्स्ट्रुमेंट्स येतात, पी सीज येतात, लॅपटॉप्स येतात, मोबाईल्स येतात, ह्या सगळ्याला जास्त डिमांड आहे, जास्त लोक अट्रॅक्ट होतात. सो इट हॅज मोर अट्रॅक्टिव्हनेस ॲज कम्पेअर्ड टू दॅट ऑफ टेक्सटाईल इंडस्ट्री. ॲग्री? सो अशा प्रकारे ते म्हणतात की काही इंडस्ट्रीजला खूप डिमांड आहे, काही इंडस्ट्रीजला कमी डिमांड आहे. सो therefore the ability to identify the attractiveness is important. So which industry is how much of attractiveness is the importance means to study that is very important. Okay. So Potter argues that industries can be categorized and evaluated by looking at analyzing the five forces. So which industry is attractive and which industry is less attractive, or at what level it has its attractiveness, can be studied on the following five forces. Okay. So now let us see in detail that which are these five forces. So the first force is the threat of the substitute products. Now substitute product means what? माहिती आहे का कोणाला substitute product means what? See, if you wish to have a tea, okay. हां, सो टीला सबस्टिट्यूट काय, जर तुम्हाला टीची इच्छा नसेल तर यू कॅन हॅव अ कॉफी, यू कॅन हॅव अ ज्यूस. सो टी हॅज अ सबस्टिट्यूट ऑफ ज्यूस, means any kind of beverage or a coffee also, right? So this is a kind of substitute product. So the threat of substitute म्हणजे थ्रेट म्हणजे काय, एक प्रकारची भीती. सबस्टिट्यूट प्रॉडक्टची भीती हा पॉटर्स 5 फोर्स मॉडेल मधला फर्स्ट फोर्स आहे. सो द थ्रेट ऑफ सबस्टिट्यूट products. If the product of an industry can be substituted by that of another, the purchaser of that product has choices that extend beyond rival products. For example, going to cinema can be a substitute for a meal at a restaurant. Substitute products are strong threat when, so see what they say की एखाद्या इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये सबस्टिट्यूट असेल त्याला तर पर्चेसरकडे खूप जास्त चॉईस असते, राईट. आणि याच्यामुळे काय होतं, रायव्हलरी असते ना प्रॉडक्टमधली ती थोडी वाढते, म्हणजे थोडी एक्सटेंडेड रायव्हलरी होते, बिकॉज द कस्टमर हॅज चॉईसेस, ही कॅन टेक ए, बी or C any of the product, right? Because he has a choice. So as the example is given here, if a family wants to enjoy a weekend time, so they can either go to cinema, or they can also, rather than going for cinema, have a meal at a restaurant. So they have these two choices, right? So these two are the substitute products of each other. And the substitute products are strong when, means for example, going for cinema instead of restaurant, हे केव्हा लोक प्रेफर करतील? In the following cases, they offer a similar level of benefits and approximate price, means if both the products has a similar price, म्हणजे एकाचं 10 आहे तर दुसऱ्याचं 11 आहे, किंवा दोघांचं 10 10 असा खर्च असेल तर मग सेम प्राइस असल्यावरती कस्टमर जास्त विचार नाही करणार. तो इमिडिएटली मूव्ह करू शकतो दुसऱ्या प्रॉडक्टवरती, जो दुसरा चॉईस असेल, राईट? द कन्झ्युमर विल नॉट इन्कर स्विचिंग कॉस्ट इन मूव्हिंग बिटवीन अल्टरनेटिव्स. स्विचिंग कॉस्ट म्हणजे काय आहे? फॉर एक्झाम्पल, एका प्रॉडक्टला परचेस केलं आणि दुसऱ्या प्रॉडक्टला परचेस केलं, तर ह्याच्यातला जो डिफरन्स आहे ना, त्याला आपण स्विचिंग कॉस्ट म्हणतो. इफ अ customer chooses the first part, then he has to pay suppose 10 rupees, and if he goes to the alternative, then he has to pay a 15 rupees. So here the switching cost becomes 5. जर ही switching cost नसेल लागणार त्या कस्टमरला, म्हणजे किंवा ती अगदीच कमी असेल, म्हणजे सपोज स्विचिंग कॉस्ट इज 1 rupee, so easily anyone can turn out his choice, right? Or if the switching cost is 0, then obviously customer has a choice without a switching cost, so he will prefer to go for the alternative if he doesn't get whatever he demands with, right? So if the switching cost of the product is less, or it is zero, or it is not going to incur any kind of switching cost, in that case the customer easily moves to the substitute. Then consumer is price sensitive. So example, if the consumer is price sensitive, means he is very much taking care of what he has to pay. मीन्स जर 10चे 11 रुपये झाले तर बाबा मी नाही घेणार आहे, 10चे 15 रुपये झाले तर बाबा मी नाही घेणार आहे. सो त्या केसमध्ये पण काय होणार आहे, त्या प्रॉडक्टचं अल्टरनेटिव्ह प्रॉडक्ट जे आहे किंवा सबस्टिट्यूट प्रॉडक्ट जर जास्त प्राईसला असेल, तर मग त्या केसमध्ये तो सबस्टिट्यूट प्रॉडक्टला नाही प्रेफर करणार. सो प्राइस सेन्सिटिव्हनेस इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द फॅक्टर विच द सबस्टिट्यूट ला इम्पॅक्ट करू शकतो, सबस्टिट्यूट चूज करण्याला इम्पॅक्ट करू शकतो. सो दीज आर द थ्रेट ऑफ सबस्टिट्यूट प्रॉडक्ट. ओके, सो एखादा जर प्रॉडक्ट खूप चीपर प्राईसमध्ये मिळत असेल, तर इझिली कस्टमर काय करणार आहे, तो चीप प्राईसमध्ये, आणि कस्टमर प्राईस सेन्सिटिव्ह आहे, सो हिल गो फॉर द चीपर प्राईस, राईट? So if the customer is a price sensitive one, then he has a strong threat of uh, choosing the substitute product. The threat of new entrants, right? Now this is the second force of 5 force model, the threat of new entrants. When new entrants enter an industry, they bring extra capacity to the industry. If demand is increasing, the new entrants can use this capacity to meet the increased demands. See, जेव्हा कुठला पण the threat of new entrants means what? Ki whenever if there is already one industry that exists and there are already other organizations which are coming together, working together. So in that case, what happens if he has a you can say new member coming in that industry? For example, आता बिस्किट्स घेऊ आपण, ठीक आहे, FMCG इंडस्ट्री, पार्ले इज मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग बिस्किट्स, then Britannia is manufacturing biscuit. Now a few days back Oreo, Cadbury came into picture. Previously Cadbury चे कुठले बिस्किट्स नव्हते, right? Cadbury only used to manufacture chocolates, right? But a few days before, what they started manufacturing this Oreo biscuit, right? So they were the new entrants in those industry, ठीक आहे. सो दे ब्रिंग एक्स्ट्रा कपॅसिटी टू इंडस्ट्री. सो काय झालं, आधी फक्त ह्या क्वालिटीची आणि ह्या रेंजची ही बिस्किट्स मिळत होते, तर आता रेंज वाढली बिकॉज दे हॅव कम अप विथ अ न्यू प्रॉडक्ट, न्यू व्हरायटी. सो द कपॅसिटी ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री हॅज इन्क्रीज, आणि आता मॅन्युफॅक्चरिंग त्यांचं पण वाढलंय. सो ऑलरेडी द यू कॅन से चॉईसेस हॅज इन्क्रीज्ड अलॉंग विथ द एक्स्ट्रा कपॅसिटी, राईट? So if the demand is increasing, the new entrants can use this capacity to meet increased demand. So एखाद्या इंडस्ट्रीचं डिमांड वाढत चाललंय, म्हणजे आता लोक इंटरेस्ट घेतात, ते लोक खूप सारे बिस्किट्स खातात, ते प्रेफर करतात, ते चांगले असावे, टेस्ट असावं, हे ते, अँड द डिमांड फॉर दॅट इज इन्क्रीजिंग डे बाय डे. तर त्या केसमध्ये काय होतं, जे असे न्यू एंट्रंट्स असतात ना, दे ट्राय टू मीट द इन्क्रीज डिमांड. मीन्स जो काही इन्क्रीज डिमांड असेल त्याला ते फुलफिल करायचा प्रयत्न करतात, बिकॉज दे हॅज टू मेक देअर फिट स्ट्रॉंगरली on that ground of competition. So they try to meet the demand of the consumers, this extra demand. This is frequently the case during the growth stage and of an industry, but as the industry matures, demand growth slows and new entrants will have to start competing with existing companies for a share of existing demand. So हे केव्हा होईल? This case will only exist at the growth stage, at the time when the demands are increasing and continuously people are demanding for the product. But once the industry starts maturity phase, then what happens? The demand slowly goes down. So demand is going down, but the industries are same, right? So now they have to fight with the existing organization so as to gain the market share, so as to share their products in more quantity as compared to other, and increase their market share, right? So in this situation, the new entrants will have to gain market share by offering similar products at competitive prices, or by redefining the market to increase products demand. So what happens when such case comes? When the industry is at its maturity stage, and all are competing with each other to share the existing demand. In that situation, the new entrants, now to match the competition and to sell their products, have to come with different offers, or they have to be with the competitive prices. Like they have to decrease the product price to the other average price of the product, and sell that price at that level, right? So to gain the market share, they have to utilize the competitive price strategy and redefine their consumers, means redefine their product to the market. Okay, are you all getting this? Yes. The power of buyers. Okay, so third force is the power of buyers. Buyers or customers are powerful when the following condition exists. So the buyer is powerful when in the following cases. The first thing is, there are few buyers who purchase in large quantities. बायर केव्हा स्ट्रॉंग असेल? जेव्हा तो खूप साऱ्या क्वांटिटीमध्ये परचेस करतो, आणि खूप कमी लोक आहेत जे ते प्रॉडक्ट परचेस करतात. So less buyers and purchases in the large quantity. Then buyer has low switching cost. जसं मगाशी सांगितलं, switching cost आहे. सो जर बायरकडे स्विचिंग कॉस्ट खूप कमी असेल, तर तो दुसऱ्या सिमिलर प्रॉडक्टकडे जाऊ शकतो ना, जे दुसरे विकतात आहे. सो वी कॅन टेक अ रिस्क. सो इफ द स्विचिंग कॉस्ट इज लो, म्हणजे सेम सेम प्राईसच्या आसपास प्रत्येकाचा प्रॉडक्ट असेल, तर त्या केसमध्ये सुद्धा बायरकडे चॉईस जास्त राहतात, कारण स्विचिंग कॉस्ट लो असते आणि प्रॉडक्ट सेम मिळतोय. Then buyer has choices because there is a large volume of seller, right? So buyer कडे केव्हा choices आहे? When the number of sellers are more. So here again the buyer becomes powerful, because he will be the one who will decide that where I should go for, right? So he becomes the powerful one. The buyer has the ability to produce the product supplied. So buyer कडे काय आहे? ability आहे supplied product ला प्रोड्यूस करण्याची. म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल, take a very simple and a common example. We are a buyer. We eat usually dosas, right? Dosas and idlis. सो जर तुम्ही ते डोस्याचं पीठ घरी पण करू शकता, ते आपण रेडीमेड मार्केट म्हणून मधून पण आणू शकतो. सो इथे आपल्याकडे काय चॉईस आहे, की आपण एक तर मार्केटमधून परचेस करू शकतो, नाही भेटलं मार्केटमध्ये, मी घरी बनवलं, राईट? सो वी हॅव द चॉईस. और इन दिस केस, जर आपल्याला हव्या त्या प्राईसमध्ये हवं तसं नाही मिळालं, so we have the power that I will reject the product and I'll prepare it by my own, right? So when the buyer has the ability to produce the product supplied, in that case also the power of buyer is more, right? Then the product or service supplied is not an important one. जशी कुठली महत्वाची गरजेची लागणारच आहे अशी जरी सर्व्हिस किंवा प्रॉडक्ट नसेल, तरी त्या केसमध्ये बायरकडे जास्त पॉवर असते. The buyer has the information about the cost of production and other buyers prices. So if the buyer has idea about what is the cost of production, then you can't fool him at selling the product at any rough price, right? So you have to give him a right price which is actually digestible from his side, because he knows the cost of the manufacturing for that product, right? And he also knows the price of other buyers. So if you're not going to sell him in appropriate price range, he is going to obviously take a switch, right? The impact of powerful buyers can be significant because they can negotiate prices down and reduce industry profitability. So see, the impact of powerful buyers can be significant. Why? Because they can negotiate the price down, means they can demand for reducing the price for that product, and hence, if the price of the product is going to reduce, ultimately the profit margin is going to reduce. So they can influence or they can negotiate the price down and reduce the industry profitability. So that is one of the important significant power that the customer that the buyer has. Okay, so this becomes our third force. Now let us move on to the fourth one, that is the power of suppliers. So the factors that influence powers buyer are, now see in this case, how much is the power of the supplier who is actually giving you the product, right? So the factors that influence buyer's power are similar to those that influence the supplier's power. Means it is something similar to the supplier's power. Means the things that influence the buyer's power are in a same way, or are similar to those that are influencing the supplier's power. They just act in the opposite direction, right? Means they will be obviously exactly opposite to that of the buyers. So let us see when the supplier's power is high. So first thing, there are few alternative sources of supply and there are many buyers. So if there are many buyers and few sources of supply, then he can demand for any price of the product, and customers has to give that, because they don't have any choice, because they don't have many more sellers who can give them the similar product. So they have to get dominated by whatever price he's saying, and they have to pay that amount to them for purchasing a product. So when very few alternative sellers are there, you have to listen to them. The next is, the particular buyer is not an important customer to the supplier. If any buyer is not important to the supplier, then he won't give him any kind of that kind of significance, and hence he becomes very worthless for him. So then in that case also the power of supplier is more. The product or service supplied is an important input for the buyer. So if the product service that are been supplied by the supplier are of very importance, are of very keen significance to that buyer, then in that case also supplier has a power to move him in his direction, right? So it also again depends upon the supplied service. The buyer cannot make the product cheaper that the supplier can. So as we have seen, if I gave you the example of idli this thing batter, right? Similarly, what they say, if the manufacturing of the product at home, if it is costly, then in that case also supplier is stronger, because if you're going to manufacture that at your home or make it at home, then you're going to pay more as compared to getting it ready made from the supplier. So in that case, the supplier becomes a powerful one. Sorry. There are no substitutes for the supplied product. If the product has no substitute, in that case again you have to listen to the supplier, and the negotiation power with the customer goes down, right? The supplied product has a good brand reputation, especially when this branding. Okay, so if any product has a good brand name, then also the supplier has a power, because he will say that I have the best product with me, and why should I negotiate down to you, right? So again he has a power. Now next, the last and the fifth force is the rivalry amongst the industry members, right? So there are two extreme possibilities. The first one, now see, rivalry means the competition they are talking about within the industry, right? So there are two things, two extreme possibilities. The first one is the competition between the industry member is low, and each industry members is content with its market share and gets involved into minimal with competitive activity. The main concern is to maintain industry profitability by tactic of cooperation. सो सी द रायव्हलरी साठी दोन कंडिशन आहे. पहिली कंडिशन काय, की जे कॉम्पिटिशन आहे इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये ते कमी आहे. वाय वाय लो? बिकॉज वॉट एव्हर द शेअर ऑर्गनायझेशन हॅज, it is good, and on an average everyone has similar share with them, similar market share with them, right? And similar customers are who are purchasing the product of that organization, right? And only competitive activity that goes on is very less, means they are not interested even to do competitive activities, because everyone is satisfied with whatever sales are going on, and whatever competitive sorry, whatever competition is, they are not interested in moving that competition up and down, or disturbing it. They're happy with whatever is going on. So the main concern is to maintain industry profitability by tactic cooperation. Okay, so everyone cooperates each other, and they try to maintain a similar price range of their product in the competition, so that no one has to fight with each other to cut down their prices and to sell their products with a higher lower prices. Okay, this is the first condition. The second condition is like the competitive rivalry is high and in manifested indirect and indirect price cutting, promotional activities, and discounted prices. When the rivalry is high, means the competition is very fierce, everyone tries to directly or indirectly cut down their prices to the lowest one, and try to sell their product with giving customers heavy discounts, or providing them with this free products with the main product. Or you can say they do very promotional activities like conducting ads on television sets, then putting ads on radio stations, then putting down the posters, making their ad run by any famous personalities, and so on. So in this way, they try to invest certain money so that their product gets more sales as compared to that of others, and they get a competitive advantage. Okay, so these are the two situation. Now when the rivalry tends to be high, then the first condition is that the demand is growing slowly or declining. Means if the demand is growing very slowly, or the demand is declining very slowly, so in that case what happens, the competition is very high, because at the time of growth everyone wants that along with this growing industry I should also be able to sell my products. My product should be more overly sold, and I should gain profit. And at the time of declination what happens, very less products are being sold, and everyone wish that those products should be of mine. So therefore there is a quite fierce competition at this stage. This causes a greater rivalry when it is difficult to leave the industry. Okay, so the customers can switch over to other product easily. When the customers can easily move to the other products, in that case also rivalry is high. Then the new entrants are seeking to gain market share by price cutting. Means if any new organization is coming in the market, they are selling the products at the lower prices so that the product should get sale, and others should go and purchase their product, right? So that is also one scenario, or you can say case. Then the industry members are of similar size and have some market power. So if the industry members, means whoever exists in that industry, are of similar size, means same type of organization, all are big organization, or all are SMEs, or all are medium level. So if the organizations are of similar size, then they have similar market power. Then there is excess capacity in this situation. Some industry members may be prepared to sell a price that exceeds variable cost but do not necessarily cover total cost. So when there is excess capacity, right, in that situation also what happens, many people sell their product even though if the total cost of the product is not getting covered. So this is also one of the situation wherein the rivalry is very high. Okay, I hope all have got this, huh? Now see, this is a small diagrammatical representation of this Potter's five force model. So the Potter's five force model competitive rivalry exists at the mid of this diagram. Then one side it is a threat of new entrant, one side it is a threat of substitute. Other side comes up with supplier power, and opposite to it comes with the buyer's power. So when the buyer has a power, when number of customers are more, size of each order, then differences between competition, then price sensitivity and the ability to substitute, then the cost of changing also. When the competitive rivalry is high, when customer loyalty is more, then the switching cost, then the other differences, then the quality differences, then the number of competitors. Then when we are talking about the threat of new entrant, what are the things that can influence it? The time and the cost of the entrant, then the specialist knowledge, then the economies of scale, then the cost advantage, then the technology protection, and also the barrier to entry. Then coming to the point of supplier power, then the supplier power is influenced by the cost of changing, your ability to substitute, then uniqueness of the service, size of the suppliers, and the number of suppliers. Then the threat of substitute is when the substitute performance is good, and the cost of changing is also good. Okay, so this is a small, you can say, diagrammatical representation. Now let us see entry and exit barrier. Entry and exit barrier is nothing but whenever there is an already established industry, then few people try to be a part of that. Means ekhada, now see, automobile industry is already so much crowded, but now Tesla is trying to come up with the electric car to that industry, right? So they are the new entrants, right? At the same time, few days back, this one of the industries, Jaguar, right, it was trying to get exit from the automobile sector. They were trying to shut down their organization, but Ratan Tata later on decided to purchase the company, the brand, and then it became a part of Tata Group. Otherwise it would have got demolished. Means that was a exit in the industry for them, right? So in this way there are entry and exit barriers. So whenever you want to leave the organization, at that time also you have to face certain barrier, and whenever you are going to be a part or you are entering the industry, at that time also you have to face the barriers. Barriers are nothing but adthade, problems. Okay. A barrier to entry. So a barrier to entry is something that blocks or impedes the ability of a company to enter an industry. So whenever any organization is trying to enter any industry, then the problems that block their path are called as a barrier of entry or barrier to entry. A barrier to exist is something that blocks or impedes the ability of the company or the competitor to leave an industry. So if any organization is trying to leave the industry, at that time also there are certain problems that come up while he is leaving the organization. So that is nothing but the barrier for entry, sorry, exit. Now, economies of scale. The need for a large volume of production and sales to reach the cost level per unit of production for profitability is a barrier to entry. Means if you consider any new organization coming into that production, the large volume of production and sale which will reach them to the cost level of per unit production of profitability is a kind of entry barrier. Means they have to work very long so that their per unit cost that they get should get cover up, right? So that is one kind of the problem that they are going to face for profitability. So it is a kind of barrier to entry. Okay, next is the capacity intensive, sorry, intensive. A large capital investment per unit of output is facilities tends to limit industry entry. So what happens if the capital investment per unit of whatever is going to you get as an output is is very much limited to the entry of the Okay, a large capital investment per unit of output is in facilities tends to limit the industry entry. So if you want to enter any industry, then and you have a large capacity investment, in that case also, means if you expect large investment and out of it per unit at a very initial stage, then that is also one kind of the entry barrier. Then intellectual property, patents and other types of proprietary intellectual property are very effective in limiting the industry entry. So the patents or other kind of proprietary intellectual power property, means if consider, you can say, if one has prepared a good model and he has patent that, then you can't do something similar to that and sell that product, because it is already patent, means it is protected by law, right? So that kind of products are also one of the, you can say, force that are going to affect the entry of the industry by limiting it from getting similar products for sale. Okay, so I hope all are getting this. Okay, then high switching cost. High switching cost, the tendency for buyers of an industry's products to be reticent about switching to a new supplier tends to limit entry. So if any buyer is going to switch the organization at that time also, and if it has a very much difference in the cost, then also it will not give you that of means you can say it will not give you that ease to entry the organization, because at initial level you can supply the product at whatever the cost has been manufactured. You have to ask people to pay little lesser than that, right? Then establish brand identity. Industries dominated by a branded products are difficult to enter due to large amount of time and money required to create a competitive branded products. So if any organization if there is an industry and many one part of or any one of the organization is very much, you can say, popular, famous or branded one, or there are multiple organization under that industries which are very much popular. So in that case what happens, the this thing other new entrants get problem to establish themselves in the market. So that is also one of the problem. Then permitting requirements, industries when where permitting and licenses are required to establish production tends to have limited entry. Okay, so for example, pharmaceutical industry, you need a permit and license to have your pharmaceutical shop, right? Medicine wala, medical. So for such kind of industry wherein these legal procedures and documents are required, you have to take care that you will be able to be a part or enter that industry, because they don't allow you to go into that market if you are without pass and license, permit or license. Okay, then government standards, industries where rigid industry standards exist tend to have limited entry. So there are very limited entry for certain industries which has to follow a certain level of standard, otherwise they are going to face problem and the duty will be charged on them by the government. So these are the few things which are a kind of entry barriers. Now let us move down to the exist barriers to exit. So environment in specialist equipment, an investment is specialized equipment that cannot readily be used in other industries tends to be an impediment to leaving the organization, sorry, to leaving the industry. Means if there is an organization and it is working in that industry, and for that purpose it has a number of instrument and machineries which are set up in that organization which cannot be easily made useful. Okay, which cannot be easily made useful in any other industries or organization. So in that case, what happens, those instruments are of no use to other people, and hence it becomes very difficult to sell that setup to other organization. And hence, for such industry, it becomes a problem while doing a settlement, because now they want to exit the industry, and what are they going to do of all these equipments? So it becomes of no use to them, right? So it is a kind of exit barrier for such industries which are having specialist equipment. Then next is specialized skills. Highly specialized skills by industry participants that cannot be utilized in other industries tend to be an impediment to leaving the industry. So such people who are working in a very skillful or highly specialized industry, they cannot be again a part of other organization, as the similar problems come out, because they don't have means their skill sets have no use or cannot be utilized in other industry, right? So what will they do of this? So again, that becomes a question. Then the third part, that is high fixed cost. High levels of dedicated fixed cost tends to be an impediment to leaving an industry. Means if any industry has a large amount of fixed cost, then how to resolve that fixed amount, or that fixed cost, then again becomes a question. So settling of that fixed cost gives rise again to various issues that come up, and then they have a problem while taking an exit, because where to settle down this fixed cost is again a question. And hence this take a long time to get it down settled, and get your money involved in that uh, to yourself. So again, that becomes one of a barrier. Okay. Then analyzing company's external environment. Okay. Okay, we will start with this part in our next session, so that altogether it will be completed in the next part. So for today, we will stop here up to the barriers to exit, so that I think we will be completing the further part in our next session, and we will end with this unit. So I think we will start this new part with our new lecture, which will be upcoming in this week. Okay. So I hope all of you have understood this. Any doubts so far? Yes? Okay. I hope all have got this, and if in case of any doubt, you can ask me in my next session, or you can also ping me on WhatsApp. I'll be able, if possible, I'll be explaining you in there, in that this thing next session only. Okay. So I hope there are no doubts from your side. And with this, I conclude our today's session, and you all may leave the meet for the day. Thank you all for attending. Thank you.